Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. His Majesty King Abdullah ordered a number of public projects to be implemented as soon as possible in the northern Jordan Valley. During a visit to Al-Mashari' town for a first-hand look at services provided for citizens, His Majesty issued directives for the establishment of a care and rehabilitation center for the disabled and the construction of 16 housing units for underprivileged families. King Abdullah urged the concerned authorities to put in place a holistic plan for the town to find solutions to challenges facing its citizens in collaboration with the newly elected governorate councils and local communities. Al-Mashari' lies 96 kilometers north of Amman and suffers from high rates of poverty and unemployment, in addition to cases of disabilities due to health and genetic reasons. His Majesty the King received US Congressmen and discussed with them Jordanian-US ties and means of expanding joint cooperation. The meeting with Senators Jim Inhofe and Michael Enzi also touched on a number of Middle East issues, namely efforts to push forward peace efforts between the Palestinians and Israelis. The talks, attended by His Royal Highness Prince Faisal bin Hussein, also tackled the Syrian refugee crisis and its repercussions on Jordan's economy, as well as efforts to counter terrorism. Two judges were sworn in before His Majesty the King at Al Husseiniya Palace. Judge Muhammad Shreide took the oath of office as President of the Public Prosecution, while Judge Hani Kan'an was sworn in as Inspector General. Prime Minister Hani al-Mulki chaired an Economic Policy Council meeting that discussed the Structural Financial Reform Program and the Economic Growth Stimulus Plan. The Prime Minister stressed the importance of economic stimulus programs that give the Jordanian economy greater strength. He emphasized the importance of self-dependence as a strategic goal in order to provide more jobs. Mulki said the government is determined to improve tax collection and tighten penalties for tax evasion. Separately, and in a meeting with head and members of the Farmers Union, the Prime Minister reiterated the government's commitment to supporting the agricultural sector. Mulki reviewed measures taken to regulate the labor market in order to address imbalances resulting from the departure of foreign agricultural workers to other sectors. He instructed the Minister of Labor to hold a meeting in the next 2 days with representatives of the agricultural sector to find mechanisms to cover farmers' needs. Prime Minister Hani al-Mulki said Jordan has a clear vision and strategy to combat terrorism and extremism by heightening moral values and discouraging hate speech. Al-Mulki made his remarks during the 14th Arab Capital Youth Forum currently convening in the kingdom. He said such meetings can bridge the gap between Arab youth by removing barriers that prevent the exchange of ideas and expertise while deepening their sense of belonging. Minister of Foreign and Expatriate Affairs Ayman Safadi said a Rukban camp on the border with Syria is a responsibility that must be shouldered by Syria and the international community. During a meeting with the ambassadors of EU member states, the minister made clear that those in the camp are Syrian nationals living on Syrian territory. Safadi also told the envoys that Jordan will not allow the entry of any refugees from the camp to the kingdom. Humanitarian aid to the camp residents, he said, must be delivered through Syrian territory since it's a Syrian issue, given that current conditions allow the delivery of aid to the camp from inside Syria. Safadi said Jordan will not accept any solution that would require depending on the kingdom to deliver aid, adding that Jordan will cooperate with its EU partners and the international community to come up with a way to deliver aid to the camp. The Minister of Foreign and Expatriate Affairs summoned the Syrian Charge d'Affaires in Amman and strongly protested the remarks he made. The ministry deemed the envoy's remarks insulting to Jordan and that they are rejected and condemned. The ministry demanded the Syrian Charge d'Affaires abide by diplomatic norms and standards in his statements and actions. In this regard, the ministry vowed it will take appropriate measures if such behavior is repeated again. Turkish forces shelled areas along its border with Syria's northwestern province, an area dominated by Al-Qaeda-linked terrorists. Turkish artillery responded with shells after coming under attack from terrorist alliance Tahrir al-Sham across the border. The tension came a day after Turkey's president announced that his country has launched a serious operation in Idlib province with Turkey-backed Syrian opposition forces. The troops' movement is part of a joint mission between Turkey, Russia, and Iran to monitor a de-escalation zone in Syria and remove a stronghold of former Al-Qaeda terrorists from the area. US President Donald Trump said he will not go ahead with his controversial pledge to move the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem until after pushing for a Palestinian-Israeli peace deal. In an interview with Mike Huckabee, Trump said he wanted to give the peace deal a shot before he even thinks about moving the embassy to Jerusalem. Trump said a decision will be made in the not-too-distant future, insisting, however, that a peace deal needs to be achieved.
And I want to see if we can make peace. If we can make peace between the Palestinians and Israel, I think it'll lead to ultimately peace in the Middle East, which has to happen.
Away from politics, hundreds of hot air balloons of all shapes and sizes filled the skies as at the 46th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta kicked off. 500 traditional balloons shared the sky with 94 specialty balloons, which included some shaped like animals and rocket ships. Shapes of a bumblebee, an astronaut, and even a Buckingham Palace guard were among the many balloons floating. This year's event features balloons from 50 countries. Nearly 1 million people are expected to turn out for the event, which ends next Sunday. World number one Rafael Nadal produced a ruthless performance to win his 75th singles title, beating Australian Nick Kyrgios in 2 sets in the China Open final. The Spaniard cruised to his first China Open title since 2005 with a 6-2, 6-1 win, as 8th-seeded Kyrgios was hindered by his own inconsistency and rarely troubled the top seed. The victory marks the first time since 2013 that Nadal has won at least 6 titles in a year and puts him ahead of Roger Federer and Alexander Zverev, who have both won 5 each this season. And finally, for a quick look at the weather, cool conditions are expected tonight as temperatures begin to drop. Tomorrow, partly cloudy weather is in the forecast with a chance for light showers in the northern and central parts of the kingdom. Winds will be northwesterly moderate to brisk, stirring dust in the Badia region. Amman can expect a high of 23 degrees Celsius, dropping down to 14 degrees at night. The Gulf of Aqaba remains relatively hot with a high of 32 degrees, slipping down to 20 at night. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Nancy Khair. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.